The year was 2003 when I began doing sports. My first sport to play was soccer. I really disliked soccer. I remember the coach telling me to go to a position, but I never knew what she was talking about, so I would just go out and run for the ball. After the season ended, I begged my parents not to take me back. I eventually worked, and my parents took me out of it. I would regret that decision much later in my life. For the next years, I really didn't do much of sports. I would stay home, or my family would take me out. 2 years later, I met this boy. His name was Jonathan, and we became friends. At first, we were into watching a cartoon. We would obsess over it. We eventually grew out of it. We later got into watching wrestling. We would obsess way more over that than we did with the cartoons. I remember we had these two favorite wrestlers. The wrestlers were brothers, so it was perfect for us. We liked them so much that we would buy all their merchandise like shirts, necklaces, and pants that they wore. I remember going to Jonathan's house practicing all the moves our favorite wrestlers did, like jumping onto the other person, doing misty flips, backflips, and belly flops. Jonathan liked it so much that he went to the biggest wrestling event they have. I wish I could have gone, but it was too late. What was pretty cool though was that Jonathan brought me back a souvenir. It was our favorite wrestlers' necklaces. They both wear them, so he got one as well, and it was the best pretending to be them. A couple years later, we grew out of that too. We tried to watch it again, and we couldn't. It was just terrible, so we moved on to something else. We began a skateboard. At first, I could barely ride the board, but I kept on practicing, and I finally was able to ride on it. Mostly every Friday, I would go to Jonathan's house in Windsor. We would always just go out and skateboard around. We also were into climbing stuff and jumping on them, which thinking about it now, that was really stupid. When I was over there at his house, we would also go to the skate park. The first time we went to the skate park, we took Jonathan's brother with us. He was a good skateboarder. He was a lot better than us. When we went to the skate park, we saw people dropping in. So Jonathan said to me, "Try it out." But I was scared to try it, so I said, "No, dude, let your brother go first." So Jonathan's brother went first. He cleared it, so Jonathan got confident and he tried it. He went down it, but got scared, so he jumped off. I saw that he almost did it, so I decided to try it. I said, "I got this." Before dropping in, I went into the bowl, then I dropped in. I was doing it, but I was leaning back too much, and my board slipped from under my feet, and I fell over. I felt stupid because I jumped into it all confident and I was the only one to fall. After that, I didn't want to try it again, so we left. I kept on skateboarding, but not as much. I mainly used it just to get around. The next activity that I did was karate. I didn't choose to do it. My parents signed me up for it. I always disliked it. I thought it was embarrassing. I only did karate for 2 years before I begged my dad to pull me out of it. He finally let me quit. I was so happy. The highest belt I earned was a blue belt. The belts you can earn in order were white, purple, green, blue, and the final one, black belt. I was pretty good at it, but I just disliked it. We had a contest every year of all classes. We basically had to spar, grapple, and show our forms. If you won any of those, you would get a medal. I clearly remember my first contest I took part in. I was a small 10-year-old up against a huge 13-year-old. He just wasn't taller than me. He was also a lot wider than me. The contest we were in was a grappling contest. The reason we went up against each other was because we were both green belts. So at first, when he drew his name, I was feeling sorry for whoever was competing against that guy. And when I heard my name, I was devastated. I said, "Aw, poop. No, I'ma lose. Oh well, at least I should have give it a try." When we both got into the fighting area, I was so nervous and scared. I knew I couldn't beat that kid, but I had to compete. The sensei said to go, and he threw himself at me. He easily overpowered me with his weight, and his momentum made it hard to stop him. He backed up, then rushed me again to take me down. To win, you had to put them in a certain position or put them on their back for 3 seconds. When he rushed me, I dropped down, grabbed his arm, and used his momentum to flip him over me and put him on his back and put him in a figure four. I was so happy I beat him. Everyone was cheering for me. I won first place and received a medal. For the next 5 years, I didn't do anything. In my junior year in high school, I decided to play soccer. I regret quitting when I was younger because everyone was a lot better than me. So I've learned now that you shouldn't quit on something you don't like. because it might come in handy later on in the future.